Hello, I'm Askar Sherlief, and these are the latest updates from Kazakhstan. An assassination attempt on Nursultan Nazarbayev's life is now considered an act of terrorism and can be punished with up to 20 years of imprisonment. On Wednesday, deputies of the parliament's lower chamber unanimously approved constitutional amendments which grant the first president the status of the nation's leader. Find out from the next report about the new perks and privileges of Nursultan Nazarbayev.
Nursultan Nazarbayev is now the leader of the nation. The related amendments was passed by the deputies of the lower parliament chamber on Wednesday, May 12. The president's representative in the parliament announced the norms which grant the first president with absolute judicial immunity. In addition, Rahmet Mukashev proposed to introduce criminal responsibility for any assassination attempts against the leader.
Considering
the significant importance of the nation's leader for the state and society, as well as his future contribution to the development of Kazakhstan as an independent and democratic country, any assassination attempts should be considered as acts of terrorism.
Damaging any images of Nazarbayev, as well as distorting his biographical data, will now become a prosecutable offenses. Deputies also want to create a museum of first president and install a bust of Nazarbayev in Astana. Similar historical center will be found in the native town of the president. The MPs are sure that Nursultan Nazarbayev deserves this treatment.
It is now obvious that the scale of his persona can be compared with no reservations to his global level. His strategic thinking skills, the ability to foresee the course of history and the carefully calculated politics place him among the prominent and progressive world politicians.
All amendments were passed unanimously in 2 readings, which is quite a rare feat for Kazakh parliament. The final word remained after the deputies of the upper chamber, who will review the matter on Thursday. Some political scientists say that if President will veto the amendments, he will receive the support of the majority of population. Interestingly, during the recent meeting of the ruling party, Nursultan Nazarbayev asked party members not to empower him this matter.
After reviewing all other questions on the agenda, the MPs attempted to leave the parliament hall, where they were met by reporters who once again questioned the motives behind the new initiative.
The MPs left the session hall smiling, but hiding their faces from cameras and dodging numerous questions of the press. Only Azimbek Jolshibekov was brave enough to talk to reporters and assure them that the new law does not contradict any democratic norm or tradition.
We are confident that we took the right path of development and didn't deviate drastically from the common democratic norms.
This was not enough for journalists who wanted to know why there was so much haste and fuss around the new law.
Some sensationalist publications over-dramatize the issue, calling it anti-constitutional. De facto, though, every article of the new law fully complies with the constitutional and democratic principles of our country.
Domestic political scientists are not surprised by the self-confidence of the MPs, but rather puzzled why the population was ignored in making the decision.
This is a bad and unnecessary law. It would be better to hold the ordinary fair elections. Our country is sharing in the OSCE, and instead of following European standards, we move away from them towards the Eastern form of despotism.
I'm
ashamed that today the parliament has discredited the president of our country before the international community and the rest of the world. Also, no one asked about my opinion as a citizen of Kazakhstan, even nominally.
At the same time, Kazakh citizens feel more than just shame and speak quite openly on the matter.
With all the disorder around, how can we call him a leader? At least he secured our peaceful existence. God forbid Nazarbayev becomes the nation's leader, even in a nightmare, as he strives for power only because of personal interests. I don't know about that, he has already reached the retirement age.
The procedure was followed to a T, and the bill was passed in 2 readings. The MPs did their part, and now it is time to do the same for the citizens of the country, although deputies are confident about the population's unanimous reaction.
Do you think so? Perhaps. Well, all Kazakh citizens think so too, so there's nothing to discuss here.
Nursultan Nazarbayev did not insist on promoting the nation's leader idea, said Ermuhammed Ertizbayev in a recent interview. Nevertheless, the advisor to the head of state fully supports the deputy's initiative. On the other hand, Russian political scientists were surprised by the haste of the Kazakh MPs. Many observers believe that proposed amendments should have been discussed publicly, while the legal innovations turned promises given by Kazakh diplomats to the OSCE and other international organizations into political delusion.
A democracy cannot be built in just 20 years. This idea was voiced numerous times by Kazakh diplomats during the OSCE meetings. Apparently, though, Kazakh president never planned to build a democracy in the first place. The recent news from Astana forced the international community to resist the political promises given by Nazarbayev and his followers. Instead of developing democratic institutions and multi-party parliament, Kazakhstan has voted for the law on nation's leader.
The adoption of the law on the nation's leader in Kazakhstan is surprising, as this country is positioning itself as a modern state with a Western form of democracy. Thus, the adoption of these pseudo-despotic laws is indeed surprising.
The status of the nation's leader of the current president is not a tribute to national traditions, but rather a blow to the reputation, says the expert Alexei Mukhin. Nevertheless, Russian political scientists are mostly concerned about the amendments that secure Nazarbayev's rights for the lifelong interference into the internal and foreign policies of the country. Experts from Moscow are surprised by the hasty decision of the Kazakh parliament concerning significant long-term perspectives.
If this is an anniversary present, it will be approved by the president's birthday. If it is a simple thing that Nazarbayev doesn't care about, it will be approved later. It is likely perceived right now as a present. I do not want to insult anyone, but Kazakhstan is not taken very seriously in the West.
No one in Kazakhstan or abroad doubts that the upper chamber will also approve the proposed amendments. Experts say that the process has reached the state when only Nazarbayev himself can reverse it. It is, however, very unlikely that the president's modesty can win over the immunity from any criminal or administrative liabilities.
According to Mikhail Leontiev, a famous Russian TV personality and a political analyst, the status of the leader of the nation should not be granted by lawmakers, but rather by the people and history. At the same time, granting one person with enormous political powers could lead to a political collapse.
A leader of the nation cannot be nominated. The person factually becomes one if the nation sees him as such. If a person leaves his direct executive powers and ruling tool and still remains the leader of the nation, he will be perceived as one anyway.
The political hunger strike in Almaty continues for already 12 days. On Wednesday, the protesters were joined by a new activist. The next report has more.
The 70-year-old Bikesh Zapashev has joined the hunger strike on the day 12. The pensioner decided to support the protesters much sooner, but managed to do it only now due to his health condition.
I was in a hospital since April 25th and was released only on Wednesday evening. I took a bath and came here at 8 in the morning. I will hunger strike until my heart beats.
Zapashev said that he personally knows President Nazarbayev. At the age of 20, they were co-workers at the metallurgy plant in Karaganda. Even then, the future leader showed the sign of his signature unwavering dedication. Today, however, the goals of the president differ from those of his people, Zapashev says. This life position has brought together the pensioner and the Jasaral Kuyanashalin.
I know him well for a long time now. He's a man who staunchly opposes the anti-popular politics of Nazarbayev.
Zapashev is already a third recent addition to the ongoing hunger strike, and the protesters says that new supporters give them more strength. By now, 7 people participate in this action, but activists hope this number will grow.
A 70-year-old has joined us, and this really encourages us. We had a phone call from Karaganda on Tuesday. People are really interested in what is going on here. They also want to come over.
After the Wednesday medical checkup, doctors insisted on hospitalization of Erbol Nurgaliyev due to his rapidly progressing bronchitis, but the Pavlodar native refused. Meanwhile, activists of the public organization Ar-Ruh-Haq have supplied protesters with radio and mattresses. Thus, the new strikers will not have to spend their time on the cold concrete floor.